See. Give me a second. I'm going to share it as soon as it comes up on my feed. And I should have told you from the beginning if you want to share it from yours too to do that, but I didn't prep you on that, so that's okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to share this time and space.
I think your audio went out again. Hello, hello. I'm not sure who's viewing. Give us a second. I think your audio went out again.
Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, it went out for a quick second.
Okay. Technology, so much fun.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So, hey guys, I'm not sure who's on. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so if it goes out again, I guess you could try to refresh the screen and try to come back in. Right now, I do hear you, but the audio did go out for a quick second. Hey, Draca. Okay, so go ahead and give our guests an introduction.
Okay, well, hello. My name is Ronda Wallace. I am the founder and owner of Our Wellness. Our Wellness is just all about generational health. It's a multifaceted organization that just wants to support families through the whole human experience. I mean, from conception on to transitioning out, even, we're wanting to grow into being able to help throughout grief support as well, too. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here to speak about relationships with you, conquering relationships. Awesome platform. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to speak about blending and co-parenting, something that we definitely need to speak about, be open about.
Absolutely. I thank you for reaching out. Again, for those who are watching or that's going to watch, all my guests, they choose their own topics. So I don't choose anything for them. So, I let them pick what's dear to their heart and they get on and they speak on that. So she wanted to choose co-parenting and blending families, which is good. Me, myself, I'm divorced. So whoever I get with, the way life is going, whoever I get with, most likely they'll have kids. So this is definitely a topic I think a lot of us can relate to because we are co-parenting and or blending families. So, and you kind of spoke on it already, but just go ahead again, just kind of give us an overview of what made you choose the topic.
I chose this topic because it is something near and dear to my heart. I not only am I having to co-parent, but I also have blended a family, and I went into a family with two other children, fresh out of a divorce. So I also got to see that dynamic change between those parenting styles as well. So when we develop certain tools to be able to co-parent better, I become so passionate about it because I'm like, other people need to have these tools as well. They need to have this access. They need to have the resources that they need to get to. There's different support groups that you would be surprised are in your community and you wouldn't even know. So when I get skills, I like to share it with the rest of my people for generational health, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're here as well. I like people to get their experience out and share for, like you said, wealth, health, all of that, especially in the Black community. Guys, I have her links in the caption too because she also has a wellness program. So you guys can link up with her after the live if you want to figure out exactly what it is that she offers with her program as well. And yeah, like I said, I didn't know. I don't think we talked about that. I don't know if you told me before that you was divorced and got back into a marriage. So that's awesome because a lot of people, I think we're
When I
told.
first married, my spouse went through a divorce, and
Okay, oh, okay,
directly out of his divorce, he got with me. So I got to
okay,
see his relationship. No, I've never been
yes,
married. So, but that is an
okay, okay,
aspect as well. How do you deal with never being married? Already
absolutely.
have been in a mother and transitioning into even a bigger situation.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad you spoke on this topic because I'm going to be a student on this because it's things I need to know. I don't know the statistics. I didn't do the research, but I know they say second and third marriages fail faster than, a first marriage failed. And I do believe it's because we don't have the tools that we need. We don't have people speaking out on, anything with healing from your first marriage, or again, what we're talking about, co-parenting. We don't have people speaking on blending families. It's a big struggle. It's a struggle just having a spouse or a relationship, period, even without kids. So, thank you again for coming on to speak on this when it's concerning kids as well. Okay, so let's get started. So, when blending families, what do people need to keep in mind when it comes to the kids?
What they need to keep in mind concerning the children is that this process is happening to them too. A lot of the
Yeah.
times we as adults, we end up kind of sectioning our children off and almost like they're a whole different species, like they're not human anymore. Now that's kids. There should be boundaries, adult time, adult information, and for the children. But when it comes to now the parents are separating and their lives are transitioning into something, a different dynamic, we end up losing them in the process, thinking that it's only our feelings that are being impacted. When really children know their parents to be together since the cellular level. You get what I'm saying? Since
Yeah.
conception, they have been with both of their parents. And so
Yeah.
now in the outside, on earth side, now we want to separate the children and we wonder why things happen, behaviors start forming. If those feelings are never addressed in the children, they are going to come out in one way,
Okay.
shape, or form. Most likely it'll be behavior if you don't address the elephant in the room. So keep
So
that
when
in
you
mind.
say, yeah, so when you say separating the children, can you elaborate on that a little more?
Separating the children, meaning now the children, not physically them coming apart from each other, but now they're having to now adjust with 50% of them being in a different location.
Wow.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean by their parents. Literally 50% of you is now outside of the home. Once again, I've been used to having this parent around since the cellular level. Since the sperm met the egg, we've been
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And you've
Yep.
now created your trinity.
Hmm.
And you expect for it's not saying that it's not functional. We could be
Hmm.
very, very functional in co-parenting situations, single parenting situations, and then blending. We can be very, very functional if we apply the tools and if we identify how the child is feeling and validate their feelings because it is as well happening to them. In pregnancy, we have a thing that, yeah, it's your pregnancy, but it's happening to them. Mama
Yeah.
Hakima from Uzazi Village in Kansas City, Missouri, made that
Okay.
very clear to me.
Hmm.
She made that
Yeah.
very clear to me that, you know what, that's true. It's my pregnancy, but they feel my contractions. The baby feels my contractions. The baby hears my voice. The baby is gaining my anxieties and worries.
Absolutely. I like how you said that. Now, I didn't have this as a question, but I do want you to tackle it since you did mention about separating the kids. I saw a meme that it was in one of my relationship groups that I'm in. They just basically said, if your kids don't connect with your spouse, what do you do? How do you handle that? Do you listen to the kids? Because, maybe they see red flags, or how do you handle that? So, can you just kind of speak from that aspect of it with the kids?
That is a fun one. That's a fun one for the simple fact you do not want to ignore your child's feelings with that is all either. You don't want to ignore that because there is such a beautiful innocence, and we all say, that's kind of a big cultural thing for us. If a baby don't like you, because if a baby
Right,
don't like you, you ain't no good person.
right.
That's a cultural thing. So you do want to take your child's feelings into consideration, but you communicating with your child will also help you identify where those feelings are coming from. Is
Yeah,
it because it could be this is actually not a safe person, mommy, and I see it and you're not listening. But it
yeah,
also could be they're just not ready to transition into another person to now because it becomes divided loyalty.
yeah,
That's what it becomes. And now there's another person, and it's a whirlpool of different thoughts the child is experiencing now. So
yeah,
what I advise is, as the biological parent, identify why that child is feeling like that. If it's something that is an insecurity of theirs, not a safety issue, but an emotional issue, then it's good to not press the issue, but allow the additional parent to be inclusive in things like, okay, where would you, what, let's go out somewhere, or that additional person needs to ask that child for help to build rapport and build a relationship, to build that safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it cannot be forced.
Yeah, I like how you said that because sometimes it is a thing where there's a red flag and the children are picking up on that. But then sometimes you got to know that if you married this person, it's something that you saw in them that you felt was safe for your kids. So you do got to be able to discern the situation. Is my child just being insecure? You have to pay attention to that because not that they purposely do it, but I think subconsciously when there is a jealousy or insecurity within the child, they can start playing you guys against each other. So you don't want to ignore those signs. That way, like you said, you can tackle it in the beginning, have those conversations, and then allow your spouse to say, oh, okay, I see they don't really like me. Let me figure out what I can do to build their relationship so they can feel safe with me. So yeah, I love how you explained that, and I definitely do agree. Um, Guys that are on, ask your questions as normal. If you've been on here, you kind of know how it goes. So ask your questions for her. Post your comments so we can get them on the screen for her to answer and tackle for you guys. Co-parenting is very hard for many. Now, I haven't dealt with issues. Luckily, mine was smooth sailing, but I know it is an issue when bringing somebody else's kid into a relationship of a quote unquote stranger. So going on to the next question I had. So when blending families, what do people need to do to keep in mind when it comes to the adults?
Something to keep in mind with the adults is that there is a huge level of trust that you're going to have for that biological parent. It's a certain level of trust that you're just going to have. And here's the thing, it trickles down to, well, if you didn't trust them in the first place,
then why?
It shouldn't be a woulda, shoulda, coulda situation. It's not a blaming you situation. It's for future reference. Make sure the person that you are creating soul ties with is someone you trust. Even if you don't trust them as a person, trust the relationship they have on a spiritual level. Are they emotionally intelligent? Give yourself time to see what family dynamic is like. So give yourself time. And it's okay, but you need to make sure that you have a level of trust because you want that trust in return.
Yeah. I like how you said trust because we live in a generation where trust is shaky. And I do see a lot of what they call baby mama drama, baby daddy drama. But it goes back to what you said. If trust was an issue with the person that you're with, as far as feeling like maybe they would be stepping out with the other parent, the baby mama or the baby daddy, then why did you even decide to be in the relationship? So yeah, so I do want people to get what you're saying when it's like trust is a big issue. If you decided to marry this person, that means you trusted them, right? So it doesn't matter what that other parent, that baby mama or that baby daddy is doing. If you trust the spouse that you're with, then you should not create an issue with them and within your family based off the actions of, that opposite parent, what that other parent is doing. So I agree with that. Hey, LaDonna. Somebody saying hey from YouTube. Okay,
Hello.
so then going on to the next, how do you properly blend a family, in your opinion?
That's a really, really great question. Just kind of like everything else, there's no rule book to it. Don't you just hate that if there's no rule book?
No blueprint.
It's definitely, if with me being a wellness and a communication guide, I am so passionate with having relationships be open and honest and taking their time. So blending the family should start with you. You need to do your soul searching and completely sever from that past hurt, whatever it may have been. For example, before I moved into blending my family, I had a lot of unresolved issues from my past relationship
Yeah.
on both sides. or even now my new relationship is being disrespected. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because boundaries
Okay.
are not being respected.
Can you say that one more time, going back to the healing part?
Really, you focus on you and get over your relationship completely on both sides, male, female. Let it go, baby. Like some relationships are worth fixing and hanging on to, but some of them, when they already have a cracked foundation, the foundation was weak in the get-go. Maybe both of you found each other in the midst of a toxic time anyway. Maybe
That's
somebody's intentions weren't pure.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the foundation is weak, it's already a condemned house.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let it go before you start trying to do other things. Let it go.
Yeah.
Drop it. Have a level of respect for that person because they're going to move on and get into relationships as well. So that's why it has to be a trust.
Yeah, the trust and the healing. I love both of those, trust and healing,
Yes.
because yeah, you're right. If you establish anything, whether that's a blended family or just, just two people, no kids, no nothing, anything you join together when it comes to relationships, if you're not healed or you met each other off the strength that you both were in a traumatic situation or dealing with a traumatic situation, and then you're hurt connected with each other, because that's a such thing too. Sometimes your hurt or your demons connect with that other person's hurt or demons in that season, and you started on a cracked foundation, as you said. So yeah, I definitely agree. Properly blending definitely has to start with healing first, healing the individual.
Mhm.
So yeah, yep, I love how
Mhm.
you said that, and I definitely agree.
I
um
will say, I will say, do not beat yourself up if you have gotten in a relationship where both you and your spouse were not healed already.
I like
Don't
that.
beat
Okay.
yourself up because my
But
spouse and I, we got together and we had some baggage.
yeah.
And personally, I feel like his was heavier than mine. But he feels like
But we ain't gonna
my
tell him
baggage
that. We're not
he
gonna tell
feels like my baggage was heavier than him. I'm like, so if I already got two baby daddies, file, you know.
him. Right. Right, yeah,
I,
yeah. Yeah, I like how you said that too. Yeah, if you started wrong, or if you started with the foundation crack, don't beat yourself up. I mean, it's always time to
yeah.
learn. Once
Because
you
here's
realize,
how spirituality works. The saying iron sharpens iron. I
yes,
wouldn't have grown without this person though.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? My
absolutely.
man has only taught me lessons that I would have learned from a person like him.
Yeah. And it's almost like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So it's like, okay, not now, if it's an abusive situation, we're not speaking on that part, but we're just
No.
speaking on just being a flawed human being getting into a relationship or a marriage.
Right.
And then you got to ask yourself too, who is actually perfect? Who's actually fully healed before they get in anyway? Like, I think when blending any type of relationship or family, everyone's going to come with their own baggage. I guess it's just knowing how healed you are to know what type of baggage you want to deal with. I think
Do you
that's
even are you even healed enough or in the mental state? Are you emotionally intelligent to know that you are not ready to be in a relationship or if you are ready to deal with somebody else's mess? If you know
oh,
that you're strong enough to deal with I could do bad all by myself.
absolutely.
But am I
Absolutely.
willing enough? Does the bad, I know it's cliche, but does the bad outweigh the good?
Yeah. But it's a good cliche. I think it's a cliche that needs to stick, because we do have to remember we are
Mhm.
flawed humans. All of us are flawed. Like, you're not going to find a perfect woman. You're not going to find a perfect man. So you do have to look at, it's the Tyler Perry movie, the 80-20 rule. Does our good outweigh the bad? Is our good 80% and our bad 20%? Then you
Uh,
stick with that. You're not going to find a perfect human. If you're looking for somebody to bring 100%, then you're looking for the wrong person.
yeah.
Guys, I hear static on my end. I'm not sure if you hear it. Just let us know if it gets unbearable so we could try to fix it or deal with it.
No.
Yeah, it's like it's getting louder or something. But hopefully you guys can hear us well enough, because I'm loving her
I'll
information.
refresh. In a second. I'll try to refresh.
Okay, so
Let's
if
see if
you
it,
yeah, and if you refresh, just it'll probably kick us out it'll probably kick us off the broadcast, but then you come back in, I'll still be on. So yeah, guys, just let us know if it's
okay.
bad or if it's manageable, and if it's bad, we'll just try to refresh. Oh, well, she did already. She tried it already. But yeah, for those that saw what she was saying, if you if you're trying to blend a family, just make sure you are healed in the areas emotionally and mentally that you need to be healed in. I see you coming back in. But just try to be healed in the emotional and mental part on your end before trying to blend a family with somebody. Rhonda, I see your screen, but I don't see a picture. Not sure if you can hear me or not. Anybody that's on, if you have anything to say, do you have anything to say to what she said so far? I mean, I feel like she's given us a lot so far when it comes to the blending the family, making sure the kids are still involved with their emotions. Don't just, get with your spouse, your husband, or your wife, and then you just like shoot them out like, their emotions don't matter or their opinions don't matter. Making sure that the spouse that you're with, making sure they feel included as well, and making sure they're doing what they need to do to blend and create a bond with your child. Never keep them separated. Make sure that spouse is trying to build a bond as well. That's how you create the safety in your children. Rhonda, I don't know if you hear me or not, but your screen is up, but I don't see your picture. So I don't know if you're able to hear. Any questions so far, guys, those that are on? So give me 1 second while I text her. I don't know if she can hear me or what's going on. Hey, Rhonda, can you hear me? Okay, so while she's trying to get back in, guys, I'm going to do a quick intermission. This is my online event that we'll be doing on February 27th. It will not be a public broadcast like this one, and the tickets are $10. So I have a male guest on here, as you can see, because I want men to also speak to us and show us what's attractive, what's seductive, and what men want when it comes to us women gaining our femininity back. So as you can see, let me try to take this off the screen. Let me get this comment off. Okay. So as you can see, our male guest speaker, that's Muhammad. He's one of my YouTube followers. And then we have our connection coach, Tabasha Holloman. Some of you guys may follow her on Facebook. Maybe you guys had a session with her already. But she will also be another speaker. Hey, Rhonda, give me a second. Yes, I can hear you. Give me a second. I'm just letting them know about the event. So February 27th is the event. I do have my Cash App on there. I can send you an invoice through PayPal if you'd rather use that versus Cash App, but tickets are $10. Please let men know. Please let women know. Again, that broadcast will not be a public broadcast. So it's private only. So once you pay for your ticket, I will send you over to my private group. And, on February 27th, that's when we'll go live. And it's not going to be like this per se. You guys will just have to be there to see it. But my guests, they're going to be interviewing me. They're going to be having their own things that they're speaking on. So it won't just be me asking the questions and, interviewing them. So it's kind of hard to explain. You just have to get a ticket and kind of be in the event to kind of see how it goes. But again, February 27th, tickets are $10, and that's my spiel. Okay, Rhonda, so we trying to put you back in. Are we good?
I'm hoping so. I said cancel.
I can see you. I can hear you. You good?
I rebuke. I hear my phone at. Let me get my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, see now.
It would happen.
Now you trying to play with me. Okay, there.
We good?
Cancel. Yes. I'm gonna still try. We're gonna talk and do it on the computer at the same time. So you see how you see how balance tries to. No, we need these gems and balance. Yeah. Be trying to stay. Happens.
Yes. And I love the internet, but I hate the internet. So I'm in the process. I don't have a location where I can just have all my guests there. Not only that, a lot of my guests that I have too, they are in different states. So it's kind of hard, so they wouldn't be able to travel here anyway. So I love the internet as far as that. I could have guests from all over the state speaking, but I hate the internet because we have issues like these, getting kicked out and everything. So, but you're on your phone now?
Yes, I'm gonna use
Okay.
it until otherwise. I'm
No
obedient.
problem. Okay, so you may not be able to see the questions on the screen then since you're on your phone, but if that's okay, because I'll just go ahead and read them off.
Okay.
So did you want to add anything about properly blending the family before I go on to the next question?
I mean, we touched on the key points: heal self and ease into there. Using interactive things will be helpful, like changing a tire together. If you're working with someone who's wanting to know how to do that, you could teach that to young boys, young girls, whomever. Life skills, teaching them life skills is a great way to build rapport.
Okay, that's awesome. Yep. And I actually agree. I spoke a little bit on when you clicked out the last thing you said, which talked about making sure you are healed before you try to blend a family. So I spoke a little bit on that. Did you want to add a little bit more to that before I go to the next question, or you think we're good?
I'm sure you touched on it. I'm sure that you laid your glitter on it, definitely. And I know, and I'm in all agreement. I trust you as a relationship god. I know you gave some dope gems. It's so important. It's so very, very important. Something that I think that we overlook, even just for ourselves. I think we overlook that self-healing. So
Yeah, thank you, and I agree. So then going on, and I'm just dissecting, guys. If you don't realize it, co-parenting and blending families are definitely two different things. So I asked her, they're in their own ball game, they're their own ballpark, but they do mesh, especially when you decide to get back into a relationship. So she just spoke on how to properly blend a family. So now, Rhonda, if you could just explain to us what co-parenting is.
co-parenting is now the two parents that have created the child are now living in two
Yes.
different, and they're working together. They're co-working together. They're partnering. They're working aside. That's what we would like to have happen. But lots of times what's become common and just more in the open and more accessible to see too is we see these families that are not co-parenting and
Mhm.
just one parent just doing it on their own. A lot of the times there's personality clashes. Someone may be a little bit narcissistic,
Yep, a lot of times.
and some people just don't want to work.
Yep.
Cohabiting is just not something that everyone wants to do for whatever their reasons. But that's why it's so important to do that soul searching for yourself.
Mhm.
For you can heal from that selfish mindset. Let's be honest.
Yes, yes.
Now build yourself up to the place where you can now withstand that behavior from that person, and you're in a more accepting space instead of it being a draining space.
Yeah. I actually did a video a little earlier today on narcissistic behavior. I haven't posted it yet. That can go long. That can go really long. There's so many behaviors and signs in that you may not notice to make a person narcissistic. And I'll post that a little later. But yeah, sometimes you do have those narcissistic co-parenters in which they are trying to control your household versus worried about the child. Like we should be concerned about the child and the child's well-being. I should not be trying to control your personal life, who you're with, what you're doing, where you're at, how you do it, when you do it. That's no longer my concern. The only time I should be concerned as a co-parent is if I feel like you're in a relationship that's hindering my child or harming my child. Other than that, I shouldn't be in none of your personal business as a co-parent. And that's how me and my ex-husband, that's how we work really well together, because that's what we do. We don't get in each other's personal business, who we're dating, who we're with, where we're at, where we're going. We don't get into none of that. Only thing we talk about is our son, in which we built a friendship over time. So sometimes we'll even talk about our jobs, things like that, something that's happened to us in life, just, on a friendship level. But we built that co-parenting relationship to where we can do that. We built the safe boundaries within each other, so where if I choose to talk to you about somebody I'm dating, that's because we have that friendship and not because I'm being nosy, trying to figure out what you're doing or who you're doing.
Once again, the self-love and the self-healing is another aspect where that's important. It's because a lot of the times your co-parenting relationship and communication will be stronger because you guys have put aside the breakup too.
Yeah. Yes.
We didn't mention the breakup.
Yeah.
The breakup is now, because sometimes you kind of have your feelings about how it went down. To them, it was your fault, but you wasn't doing your part.
Yeah.
Has the person taken ownership over how she impacted the relationship?
Yeah.
Realized why you all did not work out?
Yeah.
What did you supporting? Were you whatever, And so just keep doing the work, keep digging.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think stuff like that when it comes to co-parenting, it's depending on how the breakup happened, the divorce or the breakup, depending on how it happened, I know you can't always just go right into a positive 100% healthy co-parenting. I get that and I understand that. But like I say, it's back to what you're saying, you have to heal. Like our divorce didn't happen on a fun level. It didn't happen on a good, healthy way. But within that time frame of us being separated, we both went on our separate healing journey to the point where we were, as my son was getting older, we was able to now, okay, you know what? This ain't about me. This ain't about you. This is about our son. So what we're going to do is we're just only going to focus on him and his well-being.
Yeah. So and once again, it's okay that you weren't an expert at divorcing.
Right.
I mean, it's okay that you weren't good at getting divorced. I mean,
right.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I hope you wouldn't. Now, can you divorce in a very civil way? Like, you know what? This is not working out. I think we should go our separate ways. Ooh, bet. You know what I'm saying? If ooh, thank you. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And now, then, okay, cool. But that also will self-healing. So they can be honest with themselves that this is not working for me. And then but once again, that's why there's relationship counselors that specialize with divorce, with separating, and helping you come to a decision. Life coaches that will help you come to a decision. Is this something that I need to move forward with or not? Is this damaging to the generational health of my family? Or
yeah, absolutely. Again, I think ultimately we need to keep in mind when co-parenting, it's always about the kid. It's not about you, your personal feelings. It's not about the drama that happened between you and the dad or you and the mom. It's always about the child. And so, like you said, sometimes people have to go through counseling. You have to go through therapy. You have to go maybe get a life coach. I know people don't like, it's like people are quick to put family and friends into their business, but they don't put therapists into the business. Somebody who is on the outside of the feelings, who can actually help you self-heal.
I was just telling my spouse this yesterday. When you begin to speak outside of your conversation, your situation, you're now making your conversation have more webs to it. You're bringing more connections and more frequencies to it. And now you done called somebody out of town. Now your problems are national?
Yeah. You say national.
Oh, state to state, don't it, baby? You okay? You out here, you worldwide.
Yes.
And that's something that I struggled with. I struggled with that, and that's okay. I struggled with keeping my business to myself. My spouse and I can go through something, and it don't be that bad to us. And I tell people all the time, my man and I haven't gone through everything, but the things we've gone through, most have not survived.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still rocking with him, because he's still willing to grow.
Yes.
But involving family, I don't remember who told me this, but you're going to be more forgiving than your family will be.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get over it before your family does.
Absolutely.
And here's something else. When you get into that blended family, do not get so wrapped up in your blended family that now you begin to not co-parent.
Absolutely. Wow.
Do not get too wrapped up in your blended family to where now you're not co-parenting. I do that. I've done that where I'm like, oh, have you talked to your daddy? And it's you get what I'm saying? call out because we made an agreement. We'll make sure, we kind of talk to about our schedule so we know when to call.
Yeah.
Because our time zones are different. People work at different times, and he wants to be accessible anytime that his daughter calls, right?
Yeah.
But me, I'm trying to juggle a new baby, and that's where the communication has to be clear, because I can now speak to my child's father like, hey, it's not personal. I'm now have a new baby, and I'm trying to just get, and he's like, okay, no, I understand. I get it. I understand. There was a point in time where he was like, I'll just keep the baby till he's one. I'll keep, my daughter until the baby's
Right. I know.
I get what you're saying. I see
You do you have a headphones? You kind of going in and out. I know you don't notice it, but I do. So whoever's watching on my end, they'll see the same thing. But I'm just keep talking while you do that. But so I'm dealing with that now. So for those who are co-parenting and you guys have a child who's old enough to either have their own phone or grab your phone and call. Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I was hearing an echo though. Yeah. I think I'm hearing an echo through the headphones. But so I'm at a point, me and my son. So I had one of my brothers was like, you good? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
One of my brothers was like, he too young, he don't need a phone. I think he was 6 at this time or something like that. And he like, he hate electronics, all of that. So he like, he don't need a phone. Why are you getting him a phone? So this outside opinions, right? But me and my son's father had came to the agreement, because I was so busy, or I was to the point where he couldn't get access to my phone all the time, and his dad wanted to call. We made the agreement. He's going to get a phone at age 6. Because guess what? Now you can call him whenever you want to call him. Now he can call you whenever you want to call you without mommy having to be here and be off the phone, or, when he was with a babysitter or daycare, he had access to be able to call his dad. That worked for us. That's how we was able to co-parent, versus allowing somebody else to come in and say, nah, the dad needs to do this and the other. You don't need to get him a phone. Well, it's co-parenting. Me and his dad, you no longer have a decision in this. We got to do what's best for the child, not what's best for us or what's best for a family member or a friend. So that's something I want everybody to keep in mind as well. Now, like, you talking about he was like, I'll just give my daughter until your baby is 1 or whatever. I'm dealing with that now.
Like 5 months pregnant then. So I was like, what?
Yeah. My son is 12 now. And so it's like, now he's at a point, so he goes with his dad in the summer. That's our co-parenting agreement, because his dad stays out of state. So of course he goes to school here. Now that they have COVID and they're doing online, we've made arrangements for my son to go and be with his dad whenever he wants, since he's online schooling now. So now my son is 12, and now he does the whole calling me whenever he wants to. And now I feel like the other parent, like now I feel like his dad. So I'm getting sad, and I'm like, his dad, like, well, he wants to stay here for a year or whatever, since they doing online schooling. And I'm like, no, or whatever. That wasn't an agreement we had. But again, we're talking these things out, because co-parenting is about the child. It's not about me, and it's not about him. So again, that's whatever decision you make, that's what we got to keep in mind.
And you have to keep in mind the genders.
Yeah.
I know to pretend like genders don't exist. I know that, I understand. I completely get it. Now I'm all there. I'm all for it. I support you, and however you need to make it through this thing called life.
Yeah.
But sweetheart, if the child is at a certain age, where they want to be with that side of the parenting that fits that estrogen or testosterone that they let them go.
Yes, I have a couple friends that I would probably tell my whole life story to. They've never steered me wrong. Everything has been safe with them for years. But I was talking to one of them, and one of them is a guy, and he said the same thing. And I'm like, no, it's my baby.
It's also another thing with blending families. I came into blending a family as a single parent. So
Uh-huh.
I of a boy. So I also had to learn how to, one, retrain my thinking that I'm no longer a single parent.
Yes. Yes.
I had to retrain my thinking, but then
Yeah.
I also had to allow there to be a shift change of authority.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
that took time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
took time. My son and my spouse did not start off okay. My son squared up with this 34-year-old man, and he was
Yeah.
like 7. And squared up with this 34-year-old, 200 and something pounds, almost 300 pounds, 6'3", you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. That's
I
tough.
said, okay, first of all, I didn't know my son was a thug. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's tough.
But right then, I didn't have my spouse be the disciplinarian either.
Hmm.
Then he was not ready for him to be a disciplinarian. But I told him, you gonna let him talk to you like that?
So now you let them, right, right. And then for you stepping out of that, because that's another issue too with co-parenting or blended families. And I'm glad you said that. So I'm going to put this next question on the screen, because sometimes it's like the other person's parent don't want your boyfriend, your husband, wife, girlfriend disciplining the child. So now here's another issue: who disciplines the child? So then if you're the only one disciplining the child, then the child definitely respects you because you're their mother. But then how are they looking at your husband? Like, you can't tell me nothing. You ain't nobody. That's a struggle
Children are manipulators by nature.
by nature.
And the human nature is to divide and conquer. That's the negative side of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Kids really love, oh, they love it.
yeah,
When they get into their manipulative stages, oh my God,
yeah.
they love seeing their parents be separated and then their parents' new spouses be separated. They're going to play against each other like none other. Baby, I
Especially if
know
it works
my.
in their favor. Especially if it works in their favor. I know you can't see the question on the screen because you're on your phone, but before I ask the question that's on the screen, we got a commenter that she said, "Oh Jesus, a shift change in authority, very tough in blending families for a single mom." Did you wanna explain a little bit more? How did you get to the point where you was able to give over that type of authority?
Whew, I hope that the reason why I share these tools is that people will learn before I did. But it actually took for me. So my son, let me put it into perspective for you. I am about 135 pounds, and I'm about 5'4", 5'5".
Mhm.
My son is 4'11" and 120 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's about at eye level. So
Yeah.
remember, I'm traumatized. I have a past. And when he walks up to me, I forget who he is. I
Right.
go in defense mode.
Yeah.
I catch myself squaring up like, boy, I almost
Yeah.
hit your. Look now, back up, fella.
Yeah.
Hold up,
Yeah.
big fella. Back
Yeah.
up. You better ask your daddy about me. You better back up. No,
Right. Yeah. Hey.
ask your daddy. No,
Mhm.
no. But we ended up getting into a altercation. We're upset. We're going back and forth. And I tried to pop my baby in his mouth, and he looked at me like he's about to call me out my name.
Wow.
And in me, I instantly went to my past. I'm back. Can
Okay.
you hear
Yeah.
me?
I'm like, no, no, no. It's getting good.
Can you,
Yeah. It keep clicking to a black screen.
are we here?
I hear you.
I will check. Okay, we good?
Okay. Go ahead.
So you good. Cancel. I cancel that. I cancel it. You hear me? Okay, cool. So with me, I ended up inside of me being triggered came out, and I was back to that little girl having to fight her daddy. And when I felt like that, the parental side of me was like, that's your baby, honey. That's your baby. That's your child. You're doing the same thing. My parenting in my childhood had a conversation with each other in front of my child as I'm about to lay his ass out.
Right. Yeah.
And I had to walk away, and I just cried to my man, and he was laughing at me. He was laughing at me. That was a beautiful thing about me being with somebody that I know I trust their spirituality, because their higher source is going to tell them everything that they need to know. So I'm entrusting of their wisdom and their guidance. And he's holding me as I'm crying, and he was like, "So you ready to stop trying to be a man now?"
Ooh.
I said, "I never even saw it." He said, "You've been doing it in our relationship since we met.
Wow.
Been the man, and it makes sense. I get it. But are you done trying to be the man now?" And I just cried. I just released, and he just held space for me, and I just healed. I'm done. I'm done. Like I'm done trying to protect myself. For what?
I have I got some people over in the question. I want to put them on, but I again have to do a quick intermission because you made me do it. When you spoke on that being a man, he said, "Are you done being a man?" That hit so hard because again, guys, this
And
is
it was on Mother's Day, girl.
on Mother's Day.
Day.
This is why I created this event. The event link is in the comment section, guys. Hopefully, you can get a ticket for this. It will not be public like this. That reason right there, what her husband had to tell her, is exactly why I'm doing the event, and I have a male guest speaker because we got to get we've been traumatized so long from growing up, our childhood, things happen in our past relationships to the point where we have become so masculine. So when we
Mm-hmm.
forgot that feminine side, we've had the well, who was it on the color purple? We had to fight our whole life, right?
For real. Come on now.
And we won't let a man be a man, even when we don't realize it. Cause like she said, her husband said, "You've been doing it our whole relationship. You ain't even notice it. You've been doing it." And we don't notice it because we've had to be strong for so long. Guys, get a ticket to my event. Get a ticket to my event. It's $10. We want men there. We want women there. We're gonna touch on this femininity topic because again, I know we are strong black women. Yes, we are, but baby, we are not a man. And it's gonna come a point, it's gonna come a time and a point in our life where we gonna need a man, whether that's our husband, our boyfriend, or our brother, somebody to step in and take those sons of ours and put them in their place. All right, I'm off my soapbox. That's it. That's all. Let's get back to the broadcast.
It's
So
called it's called balance. And I thank you for having a platform that shows balance. It has nothing to do with gender. We get lost in that. Stop it. It has nothing to do with stop. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with gender.
yeah,
It's do, does your body have the organs in it that produce testosterone,
yeah.
that feed off of testosterone, and it feeds off of estrogen? Okay, cool. Well, we need the other part of it so we can balance out the children.
Absolutely,
Put it,
absolutely.
put it on an energy realm, then frequency. Okay, masculine energy, cool. I need some feminine energy now. And people get lost in the gender, and that's not even what it's about. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
I,
absolutely.
my son, I have raised my son as far as I can.
It's
It's
it.
longer time for me to be the disciplinarian. I need to show him how to be. I can't show him how to be a man, but
Yeah.
I can show him how to be a gentleman.
I had a exactly bingo. I love how you said that. We got to know our place as women. We're not saying you're weak if you step down from being masculine or having that authority figure, but we're saying is just put it into proper perspective at this point, because we can't teach a man how to be a man, but we could teach our sons how to be a gentleman. Exactly what you said. We can teach our sons what type of relationship to have, what type of woman to look for. If you're this strong woman, you got to box with your man or your son. I'm sorry, you got to box with your son all the time. You got to snap out on him, hit him, whatever, to prove your point or prove your authority. You're teaching him what type of woman to accept. You're
Mm,
teaching him this is what women do, this is what women should do, this is what type of woman I should have. We got to put it in proper perspective. We got to get back to our femininity and learn our side of that. Now, I do want to say, before I go to my next question, I want to go back to our comment because I want you to answer April's comment. And I'm going to tell you what George said before I go to April's comment. So going back to the discipline side of the spouse being able to discipline your child. So George said, any child I feed, I will discipline. If they don't like it, move out. Move out. So that's one. That's from a male's perspective. Now going down to April. So April said, let me see if I'm going to just put her on the screen. Then I'll go back to my question. So April said, at what level of a relationship do you think a girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse can or should be able to tell your kids what to do?
Well, okay. Commenting off of George first. I know that's right.
Okay. I pay bills.
I know that's right. Shoot. Yeah. You're more than what, and I do. That's the beauty of actually co-parenting.
Yeah.
Tired of it. Because when you tired of me and I'm tired of you, you can go to a different house. We can miss each other. And that was weird for me when I got with my spouse and now we have a kid and I can't just ship him off. The kid got to stay in the house with us now. I don't get no breaks. This, it ain't all what it's cracked up to be. This 2-parent home stuff. No. I will say, yes, I'm in completely, but there's a certain way of doing it to where you are a leader and not a dictator. There's a certain way where you can communicate with the children of like, look, I'm providing a life for you. And all I'm asking for you to do is to return the respect. Mm-hmm. And when you feel like that's too much, you are more than welcome to go find somewhere else to go. I've been telling my son that since he was 2 months old. No, you are more than welcome
to go somewhere.
But now, I do say I will, in a safe, emotionally safe way, I will tell my son, if what's going on here is not fitting suit with you, you're more than welcome to go with daddy. I don't want to keep you. If I am in an abusive, and I say that to set the example, when you are with daddy and you do not feel safe and comfortable, and that should be with any parent. If you do not feel safe and comfortable with me, you have the freedom to go tell somebody that you trust to make sure that you are safe.
Yeah.
Because mommies can do some messed up stuff.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Period. And what was the second question?
She said, at what level of a relationship do you think the girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse can or should be able to tell the kids what to do?
A certain level, once again, that came up to where, my son and my spouse were having a squabble. And I looked at my spouse and was like, you gonna let him talk to you like that? Yeah. You're an adult. Now, if my son is being blatantly disrespectful and you don't correct him, you're creating a rocky foundation with your child. And if that biological parent does not back up the additional parent, you all are creating a rocky environment for that child on top of what it already is. And that is when the respect is gone right there. They will test you and you have to stand steadfast and show a united front. Once again, they're manipulators, but you're the master manipulator.
Yeah.
I give you choices, but the 2 options are going to be what I want you to do.
I love that you said that because I want people to get in blended families, you have to be a united front. So if my child is disrespecting you, especially as a head of this household, if my child is disrespecting you, I have to allow you to discipline them. And I'm not necessarily saying smack them or nothing like that. There are different ways of discipline. I have to allow you to do that so you can put your foot down and they can respect your authority. But if I didn't agree with how you did that, I'm going to address you or check you behind closed doors. My child would never see me go to war with you about how they talk to you because, again, children are manipulative. So if they see mama telling her husband, you better not ever talk to my child like that. You can't say that, they finna manipulate that situation and further situations. So you never want to be divided in front of the children. You definitely want to be a united front in front of them. So I agree. And April, I would say I do agree with Ronda. I think when it gets to the point where your child is being disrespectful, that's the level right there. There's no time frame. There's no time frame on it. At the moment that child disrespects your partner, that's the moment. That's the level that they should be able to tell your kids what to do.
Yeah. And you have to trust their parenting style too. Once again, getting into a relationship, getting into any interpersonal relationship with another person, I'm hoping you're interviewing them and taking your time and
Absolutely.
and I pray that it's not with a toxic, unhealthy person and they're masking who they are.
Yeah, because ask yourself, if you are with somebody who can't discipline your child, why are you with them? What's the purpose of being with them? Because it's not easy raising kids, especially blended families or especially co-parenting. And then going back to the co-parenting, I'm gonna let you answer this one. April also said something else. So she said, is that something I guess with disciplining the kids, is that something that all three adults have to agree on? So you and your spouse, or you and your, you and your partner, and then the other parent, or what do you think about that?
I did that. I sat down and I spoke to his ex-wife, and I was like, I know how dad felt. I know dad was like, oh, I want, you're fine, we're blending. Dads, when they, sorry if this is sexist or whatever, but something I've noticed, family men all of a sudden when they get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Very family. When they get someone else, they become very family. And so they allow their spouse to kind of make the decisions and feed them and go right into the nurturing role. So that's kind of, sometimes that can be a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
So since I knew that I was going to be in that role as a nurturer to my spouse's children, I felt like it was my obligation to speak to the actual nurturer because she has a 12-year-old girl. She's about to start her period.
And you finna deal with all them hormones, and yeah.
I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to cross over boundaries. That might not be a conversation. What if she starts her period with me instead of with her mother? Do I have conversations with her now and let her know about, or do I wait for her mother to do that? So I had to reach out to her with the permission of my spouse.
Absolutely.
I didn't always respect that boundary.
Mm.
I didn't always respect that boundary. It was something that I came to learn. Oh, it's probably best that I don't hit up my baby daddy's girlfriend. I probably shouldn't do that without him knowing. Like that gets really messy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It impacted me, him, well, the kids. They see the
Yeah.
mess. So I definitely say reach out if your spouse is at a place where he's like, or she is like, yeah, you could speak to them. Then everyone, and my spouse has done that with my child's father, has had a conversation, and they kind of, they talked about it. But once again, I am the custodial parent. So there's different levels to that too. I'm a custodial parent and I got an extra spouse. So kind of like what George said, if you in my house,
My rules, my house, my rules.
I mean, baby, because I respect my co-parent, but the non-custodial parent, you get what I'm saying? So if my spouse got to
Yeah.
do daddy decisions.
I think so that's gonna jump me back to my question I had before I went to the commenters. When co-parenting, what boundaries does the biological parent need to establish? I think it goes back to that because yes, I mean you are their father, and I'm just speaking because I'm the woman. Yes, he has a father, but I'm not gonna talk to his father about everything that goes in my house. It goes back to George, my house, my rules. So if it's something though for the child's well-being, then yeah, okay, I will talk to you as his dad and incorporate you in on a decision. But no, other than that, if we are separated, my house, my rules, your house, your rules. I can't dictate your house, and you can't dictate mine.
Term for that, and I can't remember it right now. Actual term for where it's like, look, that's your house, that's my house. Oh,
Yeah,
when it
it's
comes to,
like
I'll make sure I throw it out there, or I'll even send it to you, and we could post it later on. But
yeah,
no, that's a real thing as well too. But it comes with a level of trust.
yeah,
It does come with a level of trust. But if you know that child, if you know that the environment is unhealthy, not because you guys got in arguments and you all don't communicate well, is that other parent an actual danger to the child?
right,
Even if you all have to, because here's the thing, it's so funny. A lot of single mothers, excuse me, I'm not going to say a lot. I have heard some single parents complain about being single parents but you just cut off a whole nother family. You cut them off. You could have had 15,000 aunties and uncles on the other side that would have helped you babysit, but you cut that family off.
And that's the other side that people don't talk about, because when we deal with stuff like this now this is spilling over past even co-parenting. Some women, they don't want nobody to tell their child anything. So you just cut people off because you just don't want nobody to tell you nothing about your child. That's your issue now.
If you don't hush and let grandma and grandpa do their thing, and I guess I'm like that because both of my biological parents are deceased. So my man, look, girl, okay, let me. So single parenting, and I had to go into a blended family. Right now, this new blended family that I'm in, his parents are still living, and I'm like, oh, y'all, what, you want your grandchild?
Take them.
You said you're gonna keep them for 2 weeks. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They live in a different state, so I'm like, so wait a minute. I already know where they going in the summer.
Yeah. Yep.
That's beautiful. But another thing to touch on, that is not your responsibility to keep up that relationship with that family. That is the biological parents' responsibility to make sure that grandma. Here's an issue. When you guys have never had a strong relationship with the family, when you and dad fall out, now the child is losing grandma and whoever else. If it's not the type of family that's not going to reach out past their child behavior.
And that's true, because I went through that. And I've reunited with some of them recently, but my child was older. So it was to the point as they started getting older, and I guess seeing things on social media, they would hit him up and say, hey, she don't never bring him around. And I had to tell my son's father, in which he understood it clearly. We didn't argue or nothing like that. I said, you got to think, they don't have a relationship with me. Why would I continue to call you or text you, hey, can you get him? Hey, can he come play with his cousins? Can he do this? Can he do that? No, if you want your grandchild, if you want your nephew, if you want your cousin, whatever it is, it's your responsibility to reach out and get that relationship with him. I shouldn't be trying to force the relationship or make a relationship.
There's nothing wrong with being an initiator. There's nothing wrong with that. But if one side is being completely resistant, just kind of there for the drama, like something that I did, like I would reach out just to say I reached out, but I never held my breath.
Yeah.
Hey, such and such's birthday is coming up. I don't really expect for you to come, but you can't say I never invited you.
Yeah.
I was gonna see my efforts.
Yeah.
And then my child is gonna see that you didn't reciprocate.
Yeah.
Oh, my child is gonna see, if he wants me to invite him, I'll invite him. And there was times I would invite my child's father to go places, and I wouldn't tell my child, so that expectation wouldn't be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I would tell him he's graduating from A, B, C, and D program. If you would like to come, you're more than welcome to come. So it showed up cool, but if he didn't, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And it would have made the moment even more exciting if he showed up.
Yeah. So I reading the comments. So April also, she commented a little bit more. So she said, it's going back to those boundaries. If I don't hit in my house, can the girlfriend or the boyfriend, spouse, whoever, can the partner hit the kid? Or if I don't cuss at my kid, can the partner cuss at the kid?
Here's where prayer is so important. Because when it comes to the cursing thing, that's something that is kind of in our house. And it's all about, let's have this conversation. This is what makes me feel comfortable. But you and your co-parenting outside of the partners, you two should be able to have that conversation of like, this is my boundary, dude. Like, I don't hit. I don't hit. So I really don't feel comfortable with your spouse hitting yet.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not there. And if the co-parenter is like, well, I do hit, that was one of the reasons why we separated, was because our disciplinary styles were too different to cope with.
Right.
That's a reason why some people split up.
Right.
And so if you're okay, I understand that you hit, but can we compromise? Compromise. Can you just be the disciplinarian until I become a little bit more comfortable? In the event that the other co-parenter is like, sure, I'll compromise with you. You have to come back with a rebuttal of, and this is what I'm going to do to become more comfortable. What's your part?
Yeah.
And I know that everyone's like, you can't go do something to get something in return, but that's kind of human nature. We all
Yeah,
kind
that's compromise in there everything. Yeah, there's always going to be compromise of some sort. For me, I feel like pick your battles wisely. You shouldn't fight everything. Because one of the things is, for me, I'm a disciplinary. Like I use that belt. So my son's dad doesn't. So he doesn't. Now when he goes to his house, he don't use the belt or anything like that. He chooses a different form of you know, punishment or whatever. So I think for me, because I use the belt and I know my son's father don't like the belt, I would talk with my spouse or partner and just let them know, hey, I will do the belt, but you got to find some other type of way to discipline him. And that's just out of respect for my son's dad. Now, I don't cuss in my house at my son or around my son. His dad does. I can't
of
control his house. I can't say stop cussing at my kid, stop doing this, stop doing that. That's something I just have to eat. I have to bite the dust, whatever you want to say. That's what he do at his house. That's I can't control that. Yeah.
that's where
So
I have to trust that parent. I have to
yeah.
trust.
So some battles you can't fight. You know, some things you just gotta kind of, if it's not harming the child mentally and emotionally, you just gotta kind of.
And it's hard because one of my baby daddies traveled in the circus. So I get so I'm literally traveling around. I'm like, all these people I don't know, Jesus. Are you putting her coat on? Are you washing her hands when she's leaving? Now I'm micromanaging her dad.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to, this is why it's so important to be careful who you make children with, because if you weren't going to trust him in the first place.
Absolutely.
But I know we can't cry over spilled milk. So now what am I going to do to learn to become more trusting with my child's parent? What
Absolutely.
compromises, what discussions do we have to have? Even if it is, why do we not communicate clearly? Even if it's that, or okay, because I hurt you bad in the relationship. Okay, cool. How can we move past this? Okay, great. Now back to the kids. If you got to take a quick sidebar and come
Right.
back, do that. But it's not about you no more.
Exactly. When blending families and when co-parented, if y'all don't get nothing else, just get, it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about the child. Every decision you make from that point on out, it's about the child or the children.
Period, Poe.
Period. I don't even say that. Look what you just made me
I
do.
know. I'm trying. I'm trying. Because it used to be period point blank. I remember that period
Right,
point.
right, right.
And
Yeah.
it period. Now period poo. So I be trying to stay young. That's all that is. I be trying to.
Okay, so the I got a couple more questions, then we'll be in the live. So guys that are still on, get your questions and comments out for our guests, because we'll be ending shortly. But once the person realizes they are the issue, what do they need to do to start the process of changing?
Counseling. Like, go to counseling. It's okay. I'm pretty sure the little child in you is just as damaged and traumatized as the adult you. So just
Yeah.
go ahead and knock it out. That's why I say I'm a wellness and communication guide, because I'm going to guide you to get some help.
Yeah, and
I
she is, guys. Her links is in the caption. Make sure y'all, yeah, follow her. Check out her programs. I love that because we do need help mentally and emotionally, especially in the Black community. We need help. We
Yeah.
need help. We need help.
Is a real thing. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. A lot of broken homes also come from just habit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a design. It's a scientific like method behind PTSD. That was a purposeful thing, splitting up the foundation of a home. So it's okay that it was doing its job. Now that we understand that slavery did its thing, okay, great, it worked. Now let's do the healing. Let's you know.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I forgot you even mentioned that when we talked outside of here. PTSD. Yes, we get, and a lot of people nowadays, even adults, just on other subjects. we want to get to, we bring up slavery when it comes to the woman disrespecting the man, a total different topic than what we're speaking about. But I notice people bring up slavery. And like you said, I love that you said that. Okay, yeah, we get it. We know what slavery did to us. We know how it came to divide, conquer, yada, yada, yada. Where are we at now? What are we doing now to fix that situation and to correct PTSD? What are we doing now? We can't continue using slavery as an excuse to why we're so divided. Now it's time for us to get undivided.
Yeah, there's so many resources here that we need to use. Cognitive behavioral therapy, just identifying our generational curses, identifying, and then actually once you identify, rectify, close it out. Like, let's heal it and drop it off. It's release, relief, and restoration. Like,
Absolutely.
release, relief, and restoration. We got to let it go. And then you have to have your sigh of relief, like, ooh, finally I let that go. Now let me replant my soil. Let me get back onto it. There are so many different resources that you can go, such as cornerstones for care. They're another place that supports relationships. Just like conquering relationships, that's a support that will be able to get you into these different directions. Reading. Oh my goodness. And we're in the year of information, misinformation, but there's so much information out here, and then also you got a top line. Then you're in the year of conjunction. Yes. So now you really don't have any reason to not get the tools that you need, because now you're off the plantation again.
Yeah.
Your curse has been broken. If you want to go into every realm,
Right.
let's go every realm. Now, spiritually and biblically and historically, you're off the plantation again. So go on YouTube, start researching some things. Go find you a life coach. Go find you a therapist. Like,
Yeah.
It's cool to go to therapy now, guys.
It's very cool. It's cool to get help. It's cool to admit that you're not okay. It's okay to not be okay. I feel like everything, whether it's blended families, co-parenting, anything with relationships, it all has to start with you healing as the individual. And that's my main purpose for conquering relationships. You're not going to conquer any relationship, friendship, business ship, whatever ship in your life, until you begin to heal the inner you first. Then take those steps to move forward. So
that's why I'm so adamant on mentioning generational health. And I always
yeah.
tell people, you are the drop in your own ripple effect. That's confirmation. I mean, the creator has made a universe and a world with constant confirmation around you. Freckles, just how the trees have a trunk and it splits off and it just keeps growing, and it's all depending on how the roots started off, all depending on how the foundation's starting off. Seeing a house for itself, like we said, that's confirmation of how we need to just go about our lives. If your foundation is already wrecked and cracked, the house is already going to be condemned. So
that foundation. I'm glad Dean just said something. So I agree and disagree. I'm going to read what he says. I'm going to disagree to the part where it's no such thing as a generational curse. Now, the only way I say I disagree is because I agree with that. You're right. You're right in that aspect. I disagree in the fact that it's no such thing, but it's a such thing because our people, our generation, our mental, we have created it as a such thing. We've replayed things back that's happened over time. I'm sorry.
Let's change the terminology. Okay. Excuse us. A generation habit.
Habits, yes. But I get what he's saying. That's why I say I agree and disagree. There is none. There is none because you have the power every day to get up and change that. But it's a such thing only because our people continue to make it a such thing. Like, it should not be a such thing as a generational curse. But our habits, our daily habits, our mental, the way we think, the way we act, we're making this a generational curse, and it shouldn't be. Exactly, Dean. We need to stop dwelling. We need to move forward. Absolutely. And that's where the healing comes from. We're making excuses when we say generational curse. So yeah, I agree with the perspective that he's coming from. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, they're habits, definitely habits that we have to break. But I will say that one statement that we've learned in English,
Yeah.
which in just the American culture, which is such a myth, ooh, I don't like ignorance is bliss. No, it is not. That's not good, because that's where the generation, that's why it's, to me, in my opinion, it's considered a curse, because I don't
Yeah.
even know what's happening. And a lot of the times we don't even know that these habits are being, like, for instance, some people won't even know that this is a habit that they're doing, because that's what their parents did, and so on and so forth. Like, in some homes, we see common, or that's what's commonly portrayed. Let's put that out there, that the father is not active inside of the home. It's a two-parent home, but now all the daddy does is work and just lay down. No, like, and some parents do that to where they're not engaging. It's not always about your presence. It's about what you're doing. How are you engaging? What are you doing to interact with this person? What are you feeding into this child? Instead of just being present, being there. It's a body. That's a generational thing, because they're dad. And then they had to work harder. And it was probably from a time where a person was snatched away from, you can say, who knows where that habit started from,
Yeah.
but it kept continuing, and now it's once again a habit, and they don't even realize that they're doing it until they've done the soul searching of, like, I'm losing my family and I don't understand why. Well, because you're not here, you're just,
Absolutely.
but once again, that's only one side that we're shown. That's
Right.
why it's very careful that we guard our eyes and what we hear, because on TV, are they showing things relatable, or are they trying to show us what we need to be doing?
And that's Marla. I don't know if you can see the comments, but Marla said it's a such thing because it's a learned behavior. Until we turn away from those things and begin to become informed about those habits and do differently. And yes, and that's the Marla, for what you said. That's the only reason I said I disagree with Dean, because ultimately I actually agree with Dean. But because we're not turning away from them learned behaviors and them learned habits, that's the reason we're creating something that's called a generational curse. Because it's what we're doing, we're passing it down. So
Yeah.
that's why we're passing down those detrimental habits. From whether the co-parenting, blending the families, our thought processes, we're passing it down. So that's why it's becoming to be what we call, quote unquote, a generational curse. But I agree with Dean. Ultimately, I agree with him, and I agree with you, Marla. We gotta change those behaviors. It's not really a curse. It's just that we're lazy. We don't want to change what we know we need to change.
I can give you an example of a generational curse, generational habit, toxic habit, imbalanced habit. For example, I have a tough shell, if you will. When I were to fall and hurt myself, I would have to get up and shake it off. So that can, not ever acknowledging that you've hurt yourself in some type of way is dangerous as well. Right? It's good to have a tough shell because you're resilient, but there are times where you're actually overlooking the fact that you broke your leg and now you're still walking on it and you're damaging it even more.
Yeah.
So I was raised that way. If I fail, get up. And I didn't understand. I started my period. You'll be all right. And I didn't understand that that was a generational habit imbalance until I had now an additional daughter who is now my daughter. My biological daughter is 6. I got some time before she starts moving in,
Yeah.
her womanhood. But now that I have blended this family, I have someone that has moved into their womanhood, and I don't know how to support her. And that's where it became such a blessing that I have a relationship with her mother, because I'm not going to be the emotional support that she needs. I would love to learn to be. And then I have a rapport with mom that I can ask what works best for her. What do you do?
Yes.
And on top of that, now I don't have a biological mother to ask either. So, but once again, I was raised to be that tough shell to get over it, because the person that raised me,
Yeah.
single mother, and had to have that mentality of get up, keep going, get up, keep going. And guess what? Her mother had to have that same behavior. And that's why it's continued. That's why I kept going. And I didn't know that it was going like that until I decided to break it by now seeing my additional daughter in pain. And I'm like, are you okay? What do you need? What feels best for you? Would you like a rice pack? Would you just like to lay down? I'm asking her questions as opposed to, it's just your period. It's going to happen all the time. You'll be okay. Take some of it all.
And that's why Right, yeah. And that's what a lot of things we do is because of how we were taught and how we were raised. But again, what I'm doing now with conquering relationships, I wasn't taught this. My family was so dysfunctional. The marriage is so dysfunctional. Like family, so dysfunctional. I was not taught this, but because I knew I didn't want to be the type of family I came from, my purpose, divorce, coming up, getting divorced myself, it brought me into a purpose that is now I'm asking questions. I'm getting different guests on the show so you can help me and other people see stuff in a different light so that we can do what Dean and Marla is talking about. Start doing something different. Start changing.
And
Stop
I do
going back.
as well that no, we're taking the negative power away from it.
We,
Yeah. Like, no, I am not shackled. I am not, you're right. I am
yes,
definitely not, I'm not controlled by that. I am not.
because words matter. Life and death lies in the power of the tongue. So thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean, for that little whooping. I thank you for that. So hopefully,
And we just mentioned that not too long ago too about depression. What if we changed the narrative of depression and we viewed it as a slower moment in time or a regression as opposed to a depression, a regression? I am just slowing down. It's a human hibernation.
because it has a bad stigma. You know what I'm saying? Depression has a bad stigma. So if you tell somebody they're depressed, they immediately, nobody wants to be depressed. Nobody wants to stay there depressed. So they immediately go into defense. They don't go get the help that they need. They don't talk to people that they need.
Shameful. It's
Because
shameful.
it's shameful. Yep.
End up guilting yourself that you have depression. It's very heavy. You're right. But if I can just, for a quick second, this is where you magnify your time. It's even when you have the smallest of praise, make it big. Make it a big moment. Like, oh, I got out of the bed quicker this time. Well, woe is me. Well, that's fine. And I'm so proud of that small sliver of like, oh, yay. That wasn't that hard. I washed the dish today. I'm going to go lay back down though. Okay, no, good job.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the thing. So if I could just now, I can't get off the bed. Let me tell my spouse, hey, it's really, really hard for me to lift my head. And then your spouse is like, okay, enjoy it. Because now their mindset is changed about depression. Enjoy it. Take this slower moment in time. Because for whatever, your body is going into a natural survival tactic. Whatever you're doing, you need to slow down. You're not eating healthy. You're not, your mental state is not in a good place. You're going to hurt yourself. Your body is a lot smarter than what we take it as. Your brain is sending messages to your body to slow down their heart rate, slow down your metabolism. That's why you start gaining weight when you're depressed. You've slowed down everything.
And so, this is such a good topic. Marla say we talking up in here, but this is such a good topic. It took a spin. I know it took a spin off of co-parenting and blended families, but I love that you said that, Dean. Thank you for that. It just shows there is more conversations that need to be had. It just shows that, it's more things that we need to speak out upon and speak up on. So still, thank you for that comment. And as we end the live, Ronda, do you have any last words of wisdom for our guests?
Oh, love on yourselves. We figuring it out every day. Don't beat yourself on a day where the communication isn't strong. Just breathe, take a slower moment in time, readjust, and get back in there. Search for release, relief, and restoration.
Amen. That's it. The end. You guys. Guys, again, those that are on, those that are going to watch a replay, please hit me up if you want to be a guest on the show. Don't forget my February 27th online event. Tickets are $10. Men and women are welcome. And we are out. Get a hold of our wellness coach, wellness guide. Her information is in the caption. And I'll see you next time.